One of the things I really love about Final Fantasy XIV are the short stories. The writing team has been releasing these for several years. These stories offer insight to the game's characters and history, and the latest set of stories connected to the Endwalker expansion are really strong. Tales from the Dawn just had its fourth and final story published, and I want to talk about the first entry today. It focuses on Venat, the former Azem, and eventually the primal Hydaelyn. Let's take a closer look at the characters, places, and references in A Friendship of Record, and the relationship between two ancients that lives on today. My name is Stout, and I really hope you enjoy. A Friendship of Record begins in Amarat, the bustling capital city of the Ancients. We've traveled to a recreation of this city in Shadowbringers when the Ascian emet-selch brings it to life in The Tempest. The story takes us to Anamnesis Anider, a vault in Amarat where concepts are stored. We visited the recreation of this vault too. The Anider is a dungeon from patch 5.2. This place is an archive full of flora, fauna, and crystals from all over Atheris. The side story refers to this place holding the sum of mankind's accumulated wisdom. We're also told that this place employed numerous curators to keep track of each collection. It required ancients of high intelligence who valued academic achievement. Being appointed to this position is considered a great honor. We meet a man who is described as an oddity among his peers. While most curators value new concepts and creations, this one was focused on extant reality. He wanted to thoroughly understand the foundation of the star. He would step away from archiving when he had spare time to browse books, and he'd use these ideas to expand on his own theories. This brought the man great joy. One day, the man was summoned by the chief archivist. The chief needed someone to greet and assist a very important guest. This person had produced incredible results in organic research. Her theories tended to line up with the man's personal research. He admired her, and the man was eager to help her find reference materials. The scholar greets him in an unusual way by removing her black hood and white mask. She introduces herself as Venat. This is before she was appointed to the seat of Azem. We know this because Convocation of 14 members wear red masks. The only exception is the most recent Azem, her successor, who wore a black mask in flashbacks. Ancients revealing their faces isn't common in their culture. The story tells us the man is taken aback by this gesture. They normally don't do this unless identification has to be made or the people unmasking were close friends. You could also break this custom when seeking counsel, asking for help from a mentor, or making a life-changing commitment. Venat does this for the man as a sign of respect and transparency. That's why he, in turn, removes his own mask. Speaking of masks, if you've completed the Abyssos raid chapters from patch 6.2, you may remember that the Pandemonium staff don't wear masks either. That's because it's against the rules. La Brea, another Convocation member and the most recent chief of that facility, forbid key wards and other staff from wearing masks. He wanted his workers to understand that they were not above the rules just because of their position. In contrast, his wife Athena and the previous chief did wear her mask. This is likely because she viewed herself above everyone else and everything in ancient society. A record of friendship jumps forward in time. Venat and the man have formed a lasting friendship. Now at this time, Venat is seen as cheerful, well-spoken, and incredibly intelligent. Peers admired her, and rivals wanted to be her. The story calls her a rounded gemstone, without edge or flaw. We see this firsthand when the Warrior of Light travels to the past in Elpis. Emet-selch speaks very highly of her. Her sharp mind is also showcased when she quickly deduces the warrior is from the future based on traces of magic on their person. We return to the halls of the Anider with Venat and the man. The woman is working on crucial research, an argument that would prove that life was an inevitable outcome of natural law, something that had interested the pair for countless years. Venat bursts with joy, seeing her argument is no longer just theory, but provable by hard evidence. The man joins in her celebration, and he sees a change in her. No longer just the rounded gemstone previously described, but one with cuts, reflecting the light intensely, dazzling and radiant. This is the person he knew she was meant to be. We get another jump forward in time. Venat is leaving on a journey to nowhere and everywhere to see everything the star has to share. A portion of this quote is especially interesting. Venat says, "Whispered wisdom to which I would hearken, untold experiences I yearn to feel, mysteries and wonders I must understand." Hearken means to listen or hear. Feel is self-explanatory, and understanding requires thinking. Hear, feel, think. The three words we've heard from Hydaelyn since A Realm Reborn. Venat and the man don't have a tearful farewell. She goes, but his mind lingers as he works. What information would Venat need when she returns? He must be ready. This means studying things outside of his field of expertise, venturing outside of his comfort zone. So as Venat accepts a change in position, we see how her connection with the man is fostering a change within him too. Venat would return on occasion to the Annider without warning. Sometimes months or years would pass between visits, but the pair would meet and Venat would eagerly tell her friend of her experiences on the road. As much as he was amazed by her travels, she was blown away by the resources he found for her. The man notes that this is a remarkable change in her. She used to be subdued, but now she's much more social. A crystal now so bright, it outshone the stars. This is the moment Venat accepts the seat of Azem, or the Traveler. The holder of this seat is tasked with connecting with the people of Atheris and its cultures. This required an adventurous spirit and open mind, meaning Venat was perfect for this job. The man agrees with this too, saying the mantle of Traveler suits her well. This would mean that Venat is now a member of the Convocation of 14. That's the governing body that protects Amarat and all of Atheris. Venat's newfound position left her on the receiving end of some annoying formalities. She calls it exhausting pomp. The man shows her the same level of respect, which she does not appreciate. He says Venat, as Azem, represents their highest authority now. Venat did her duties well. The story details a few cases involving rampaging wildlife, a colleague lost on expedition, and poisonous plants. If it was something she couldn't handle on her own, Venat would consult with the Convocation with her own proposed solutions. Venat was an exceptional Azem, which is why so many were surprised when she stepped down from her office. We're told of her successor, a fascinating person Venat met on her travels. This is the most recent Azem, the maverick of the Convocation and close friend to emet-selch, Hythlodaeus, and as we've seen most recently, Elidibus. The Warrior of Light is several shards of Azem's soul rejoined. Venat adds she doesn't intend to relinquish her life as most ancients do. I've talked about this in other videos, but ancients viewed life and death much differently than mortal races. Rarely did an ancient actually die, but instead chose to give up their life and rejoin the ethereal sea. Emet-selch says this isn't seen as a somber decision, but one to be respected. Ancients only do this when they feel their life's purpose has been fulfilled. Venat at this point believes her time as Azem should come to an end, but she also sees the benefit in remaining on the star. The text tells us Venat believes her successor would benefit more from the title than she would. The new Azem would make their own discoveries, even though they walk the same path and see the same destinations. They could see things even Venat was blind to, in all of her wisdom and experience. The man in the story had other colleagues who chose to pass on in this tradition, but he isn't ready yet. His purpose, his reason for living, has yet to be fulfilled. His purpose is to keep watch as Venat walked her path. She abandoned her black robes for the white robes of a neutral advisor. We've seen her in these robes during our time in Elpis. Themis, or Elidibus, also wore these while investigating the circumstances in the Pandemonium facility. And while Venat shifts into a new role, the archivist we've been following does the same. He accepts the position of chief archivist of the Annider. And so when the final days began threatening their world, the Annider became headquarters for Venat and her followers. The story talks about the conflict between the Convocation and Venat's faction. The former supported Zodiarch, and plans to offer souls to the Primal to restore the paradise they lost. The latter felt the future must not bear the cost of saving the past. Only by learning and growing could they actually move forward. That's why Venat and her followers wanted to shackle Zodiark's power, and the plan to summon Hydaelyn was hatched. This endeavor would also come with sacrifice. The ones loyal to Venat would have to give up their souls to see the light primal summoned. Nothing would remain of them, and like Zodiark, a primal this powerful would need a heart to steer it. Zodiark had Elidibus, and Hydaelyn would have Venat. The chief archivist tries to talk Venat out of it. He asks, "Why must it be you?" Venat gives her reasons, and the man knew he couldn't persuade her now. Venat assures that she will not vanish, but remain in this world in a new form. The man says he will press her no longer, adding that she will be sorely missed, but she retorts, saying, "It is I who shall miss you." We get to see part of this exchange in-game at the end of the Annider dungeon in 5.2. It's a hologram recording of a conversation between Venat and her followers. Shifting back to the final piece of the story, the archivist reflects on words Venat said to him before. What we anticipate and what comes to pass need not be the same. 'Tis best we work towards the greatest good without foreknowledge, which might cloud our judgment. The man speaks of Venat's understanding of the present, thanks to the Warrior of Light's journey to the past. He offers her a crystal, something he'd done many times before. Stored inside this crystal was the last chapter of cosmological wisdom Venat had sought from him. She spoke of its importance before, but didn't offer too many details, and as of the time of this video being published, we don't know what happened to that crystal. The archivist says he regrets that he cannot see the future through at her side, but if she is to be Hydaelyn's heart, he would be her eyes, watching, unblinking until the very end. This sentiment is nice, but the man knows his fate is sealed. The offering of his soul to Hydaelyn means nothing of his person would remain, and even though the archivist made that choice, his legacy does live on. In Endwalker, the warrior's trip to the moon brings us to the Watcher, a white-robed figure who appears very similar to the ancient shades we saw in the recreated Amarat. The Watcher is an etherical construct who watches over Zodiark's seal. Hydaelyn created this construct in the image of the chief archivist from this story. The Watcher remained on the moon for a millennia, waiting until the day the seal was shattered. The Watcher also helps steer the warrior toward traveling to Elpis. The Watcher remains in his palace on the moon, but it's possible his story isn't quite finished. There's a theory that there is a Watcher on every Shard's moon, and that Golbez may have met the one on the 13th. Go watch this video to learn more about that. Now I know Venat is somewhat controversial in terms of her wealth of knowledge and decision making. You guys have told me as much in the comments on my Venat video, so I'm curious, did this story change your opinion of Venat at all? Let me know in the comments on this video. Also give it a like if you want more explanations of the Final Fantasy XIV short stories. And finally, subscribe to the channel so you know when the next video comes out. Until then, take care warriors, and I'll see you next time.